Hi. I have a question. Both of you have experience writing villains who've, like, really stepped it up. Like, Comic Shockwave went, like, he goes full for it. Like, there's monologuing to Optimus Prime's disembodied head. Like, he starts off walking through a room of Autobot corpses. Like, that's such a different step up from Megatron. And you've written Overlord. I don't really even know what to say. He steps it up. But do you have any advice on writing villains that, like, step it up from the previously established villains?
Oh, I mean, you just try to find a new angle. I mean, I don't know if there's any really new angles, frankly. Everything's been done one way or another. But you look for something that's going to get somebody's attention, you know, that it's not just the same, the same old, almost, cliches that people have been using. You try to find a new way to present, whether it's a villain or a hero or any character. You just want to make them fresh and original and have a unique perspective. But it's so hard to say, well, here's how you do a villain. You know, it's like, it really depends on the story and what the personality is and what the villain's goals are. And a lot of times villains don't think of themselves as villains. You know, they're
always
think
the hero of their
they
own story,
have
aren't they?
they have their own objectives. They feel that they're doing the right thing by their value system. So that's another thing to consider. Just being evil for the sake of evil is kind of boring, you know. But if a villain thinks he's doing something right when everybody else thinks he's doing something wrong, then you have, you know, shifting what's the word? Loyalties about, well, there's a point to what he's doing here, you know. You know, it's like a lot of times in Transformers. I mean, I'm going way back, but you know, I had the bad guy, and then I had another bad guy. And this guy thinks he had a better way of running the Decepticons than that guy. So he had his own, his own perspective on what to do. And what to do was pretty nasty, but, you know, it came out of, like, good intentions. He wanted to run the best organization of Decepticons that he could, that's all. So.
Yeah, I think nailing your villain's motivation is nearly the most important thing, and the thing to spend the most time on. And that was kind of hammered into me by Andy Schmidt, the editor on Last Stand of the Records. He was really like, not necessarily the Overlord was just a kind of hammy sort of just want to watch the world burn sort of character, but he was very much like, but really, you're giving him, you built a well-rounded character on the page, but he's like, it's on the page. He's saying, yeah, but what do you want and stuff like that. And he really made us go, and that's how we pushed and figured out that he's got the Megatron, notice me Megatron thing about going on, and similarly with Sins of the Wreckers, that was the one thing that I knew I had to work super hard at, was like sort of make sure that the villain kind of like, had some sort of connection to the hero or what the heroes wanted or needed. And again, he's the hero, but he himself is the hero of his story, isn't he? I think make your villain's motivation watertight. But as far as kind of escalating your kind of the villainy to kind of, I suppose maybe it's just a case of like looking at what has gone before and saying, well, look, those are now de rigueur, that's been done. So if we're doing that again, then we haven't gone anywhere. And then sometimes it's just a case of even looking at what would upset you, or kind of what do you find objectionable, And I find spiders objectionable, so Tarantulas is the villain in Sins of the Wreckers, So stuff like that. I mean, like he obviously appeals on a primal level, like he's a big freaking spider, it's a good bad guy to have. So, but then like all spiders, they're just afraid, just like us, So it's that way, just kind of pick on things that, like, if it's something you find objectionable or something you're fearful of, or if there's an event that you would hate to come to pass, then obviously that's something that will speak to you. So if you can come up with a villain that can kind of operate on those things and be the one to kind of bring that stuff about, then solidify the motivations of the villain, and your story should follow, I think. Yeah. Good luck.